Welcome to the Real Estate Debate, where we debate the hottest topics in San Diego real estate. Let's meet today's panelists. From Pure Mortgage, our co-host, Daren Greig. From Coldwell Banker Point Loma, Sean Germon. From Coldwell Banker West, John Fleming. And from Daren Real Estate Group, Larry Abrams.
All right, welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate your time. Co-host Daren Greig. What's up, man?
Not much. How you doing?
Great to have you here for the first time.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's good stuff. We have a great group here. And of course, a very interesting discussion is always going to ensue on the real estate debate. So I'm going to start with you. I'm going to ask you the question first. You're the only mortgage guy in the room.
All right.
Right? Okay, we got 3 real estate agents in here. You're the only mortgage guy. I'm the only TV host, right? You and I are kind of on our own little islands, right?
All right, perfect.
So now, with regard to investing in San Diego real estate, this is the topic of discussion today. Is it a smart time to invest in San Diego real estate? What say you?
It depends on what you say by investing. Does it mean buying a home and holding it for the next 20 years and living in it? I think that's a great opportunity. I think some of the flip stuff is probably dried up. So if you're looking to make a quick buck, I don't know if it's necessarily the right time to do that. But I think it's always a good idea to invest in real estate in an economy that's growing and a market that's growing.
Okay. So you say, yes, it makes sense if you're buying for the long haul.
Absolutely.
Okay. Larry, I know you got an opinion on this.
Of course, I always have an opinion about everything. I mean, it just goes to what are you looking for? I mean, real estate is always an investment, short-term, long-term, tomorrow, yesterday, whatever it is. It's always a piece of asset that not necessarily depreciates at the value of most other things like stocks and commodities and bonds and like that. So whether it's now, tomorrow, in the future, I'd say, yeah, real estate's the best investment you got right now. So,
okay, really?
Yeah.
San Diego real estate right now, even though we've been up years and years and years
I mean,
in a row?
we're going to go up and down, and, you know, I mean, there's always things that are going to affect the market to a point where, is it really make sense? Like, for example, the Chargers leaving, that's going to hurt the market because we may lose 1,000 people out of the city selling their homes. But on the reverse side of that, we're one of the best cities in America, and people want to live here no matter what the cost of living is. So
you can absorb 1,000 homes in no time. You know, that's
yeah, but you know, we can. But I think at the same point, it's when you lose that kind of workforce or that amount of people at one fell swoop, it affects the market on a larger scale, even though we could use that inventory.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what the question of the day should have been today, right? Like, are the Chargers leaving? Is that going to hurt San Diego real estate? I'll have to think about that one.
Well, I mean, I think it affects everybody. When you look at it at a global scale, it doesn't just affect San Diego. I think it's going to affect everybody because, you know, we tend to start trends in California. We don't necessarily keep them going as well as we should, but we start trends that the rest of the United States kind of follows.
Yeah.
And so when we lose something on that grand of a scale, it's hard to then recoup from that and set a trend that everybody wants to follow, because who wants to follow a city that can upkeep something that's so profitable to a city?
Yeah, very true. Kind of like your socks, you know,
Thank
like
you.
People in Missouri will be wearing those socks 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Sean, what do you...
Everybody's going to wear those socks, right?
So
To match your shirt.
What do you think, man, about investing, being an investor in San Diego real estate?
An investor in San Diego, I think it's a great time going with the mortgage guys because the rates are so low. I've been doing this since 1991, and I thought 7% and 6% were great rates. And what are they now? 3s and 4s?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely great. So I say for a person who's going to buy for the long haul, you don't want to look 5, 7, 10 years from now and go, oh my God, I could have got a 3.5% rate because I waited. I thought the market would change. So buy. You're going to have a great payment for a long time, and obviously call my man right over here to get a loan. But for a flip, those are very hard to find right now. I've been doing those since buying at trustee sales in '99. So the lower end flips are definitely difficult to find. But for a long haul investment, definitely San Diego.
Okay.
Because we are an island. I mean, we've got an ocean on one side, Mexico to the south, a desert, and LA to the north. And who wants to live in LA?
Not me.
Because we're all in San Diego, right? For a reason.
John?
I agree with everyone, pretty much. Depends on what you're looking for. I do believe if you're going to invest, you want to take advantage of the interest rates. You know, there's a lot of investors out there that buy properties cash, and I don't think that's the time to do it right now. I think you take advantage of the low rates and you hold on to the properties. I think we have a pretty healthy market, and I think it's going to stay healthy for at least a few more years.
At least a few more years
Yeah.
of this, you think so?
Yeah, I would piggyback on that because the Norris Group came out with at the end of 2015. They're the ones that do San Diego real estate in Southern California. And they do it as like a comp, like a house. You use like 10, 12 comps where you can do a housing, valuation. Well, they came out with 12 and 2 showed that we're at the top of the market. The other 10 said that we're at least 24 to 48 more months before we get anywhere close to the top of the market. And they predicted the 90, the 2008, all of them. So they're saying we got at least another 24 to 48 months on their 12 factors for judging a market right now. And that was December of 2015.
Yeah.
So they had down at I forget the convention center downtown.
Yeah.
We got a couple hundred people there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
3 years. And
but then what? I mean,
That's my question. Then what happens?
well, then we
They're
adjust.
they're
all
actually
over.
saying the cyclical peak will be in like 2020,
Yeah, I would go with that.
Okay, so 2020.
and it's based off of employment.
Yeah.
They're saying that it's recovering now, but the peak of that will be probably 2020.
Well, see, I wonder if employment even matters anymore in San Diego. Have you noticed that?
No.
Look, the median incomes have been going down. The prices have still been going up. I mean, from a global, this is a global destination now.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of money coming in from elsewhere. Have you guys been seeing that?
Yeah, I
Sure.
just think
Yeah.
2015 was the biggest tourism year for San Diego in San Diego's history. I think there's a lot more people that are talking about San Diego around the world, the people that are noticing San Diego. And I think that gets people here. They want to buy second homes. They want to buy investment properties. They want to move here. It just opens up the door for a lot of new people coming to the city, regardless of jobs here in San Diego.
Well, my question also is, with the redevelopment of downtown and what's happening in Little Italy and downtown, with the amount of buildings and high rises and the large scale projects that are going up down there, do we have the infrastructure, jobs, economy to support that many more coming up in the market at that level of pricing that they're asking for? I mean, we're talking about $2-3 million condos for 2 bedrooms down on Embarcadero.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot
We're
of
going to get to New York prices here soon, and I just don't know if we have the economy centralized with people like the biotechs and all those people starting to source work outside of the state because of the limitations that we have within the state as far as taxes and everything. Are we going to be able to support that? Because it happened when they rebuilt downtown by East Village, and we saw what happened when those all went vacant for 3 or 4 years and dropped the pricing. So I don't know. I'm kind of wishy-washy about what happens with the future of downtown.
Okay.
Well, that
He's questioning downtown.
Well, a lot like BRIC, Brazil, India, China, and Russia, they're all investing here because it's safe. They don't worry if it's going to go down. They just don't want. They're not worried that they're not worried that our government's going to go under, like their government turmoil. So they're bringing a lot of money in here. That's what we market to a lot. But it's interesting downtown, like you say, like how many people can afford a $3 million concrete box, right? There's a lot of them. But I think the variable will be vacation rentals. Like you were talking about, all these people coming here. I buy a $2 million condo. I don't care if it cash flows. I just want to pay the taxes, the insurance, maybe make a little money. But I know if I live in China and I got a couple $1 million, San Diego. That's what I think is going to support.
But do you think it'll
part of
offset? Do you think now that it'll support it? But do you think now with the new regulations from the federal government saying any cash purchases now have to be disclosed and the buyer has to be disclosed where the money's coming from? You can't hide your money in these shell companies anymore and do these cash transactions, because I think that's going to steer a lot of people away from overseas. So these Chinese guys who have cash on cash, Russian guys who we don't know where their money's coming from, are we going to allow them to come in without having to pay the taxes, not knowing where their money's coming from, or if they're drug lords, or who knows what's going on,
That I don't know.
Well,
I mean, it's just that's kind of going down a path I don't know.
It's hard to say in that case, but I'll give you an example. So my dad was in town recently from Missouri, okay, and we live in Del Mar, and we rent a condo in Del Mar.
Bougie, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Del Mar Woods, yeah, it's nice. So we went for a walk. We walked past the house. There was a for sale sign. So all right, he grabs the flyer, looks at it, $2.7 million.
Right.
Now, in his mind, that's impossible. That's unheard of. There's not a home for sale in Missouri for $2.7 million.
You can buy the state.
Yeah, you could buy all the houses.
Right.
So, to him, it was like, who could possibly afford this? Yet, you look, and every single house is occupied. Someone's living in every single one of those houses. There's only like 2 for sale down there.
Right.
So, we sometimes underestimate the gravitational pull that San Diego has on the rest of the world. And people figure out how to get here. And there are a lot of high-paying jobs. I mean, I think, Qualcomm's important for San Diego, of course, in real estate, more so than the Chargers are. Big
Oh,
time.
100%.
But the question is, at what point do we get to the end? Is there an end? That's the question. Do we run out of those guys? Is that $2.7 million house going to be the first one that doesn't sell? We never know
But
that.
then what
answer.
happens then? Does the market go down 5% or does it go down 30% again? And then that's the thing that scares people that have lived through the collapse.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think
I
it's
don't
going
know
to
if we
hit
can-
that because people are buying homes that they actually afford now.
See that you make a huge point because when the question is it a good time to invest in San Diego real estate? So if that's the question, you have to look at what's the risk.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to make an investment, right? What's the risk? What's the potential reward?
Right.
So maybe that's how I should have framed it. Is it risky? Now, is there risk in this marketplace?
There's less.
I want to
le-
touch
less
on
risk.
your downtown. The trend now is actually the younger people are now going into the urban areas as opposed to the suburban areas. So the trend I'm seeing, and actually I'm jumping on board.
Really?
Is to move into a more urban area like downtown, Little Italy, even South Park, North Park. Those are more metro area. So I'm seeing that, and actually I was reading up an article on it as well.
Yeah. It's more fun there.
Where are you going? Where are you moving to?
I'm looking in the South Park, North Park,
South
Mission
Park.
Hills,
Oh, yeah.
Bankers Hill area.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people looking in that area.
Yeah.
And seeing that's the thing. A lot of people
know a
want
good
it.
agent.
There's only so much of it.
Yeah.
That's the thing with San Diego. I mean, I think we've really got something here, and I think the world is just starting to catch on to it. One of the things that San Diego has that also is not talked about very often is the weather pattern is strange. It's like our fall comes late, our summer comes late. So people come here in like November or December, and it's 75 and sunny, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is just unbelievable. I mean, my parents do it,
Right.
It happens.
Right.
So that's one of the things that's sort of underestimated in San Diego. But I think if we're looking for risk, that's the question I think we need to sort of identify. We're trying to pay off that question. Is it a risky time to invest in San Diego real estate? How much risk? I'm going to go around. How much risk do you think is in this market, John? Percentage.
I don't think there's a lot of risk. I think it depends again on how long. If you're looking to buy something and turn around and sell it, flip it or sell it within the next year or two, it's probably not a good time to do that.
Okay.
But I think we're in a healthy market, and I think we'll continue a healthy market, maybe single-digit increases over the next few years. So I believe it's a great place to put your money.
Okay. John?
I believe it's a great place because the lenders are actually qualifying people, unlike the last go-around when we crashed. You have to have a job.
Yep.
You have to have income. You have to have the right ratios, correct?
Yep.
There's no
The down
stated
payment.
income.
Yeah.
There's no NINAs. There's none of those loans anymore. So the risk is very minimal in that fact, and plus rates are so low. So I think it's a great time to buy,
Okay.
because it's low rates and no risk because you can qualify for that house.
Okay. He thinks there's less risk. Darren?
I think any investment is a risk involved. Whether you buy a stock, whether you buy a house, anything, there's a certain amount of risk no matter what. You can't control, if you buy Apple stock, you can't control if the CEO passes away like Steve Jobs. I mean, things happen. But in a market like this where it's starting to get known around the world economy is really shrinking. There's a lot more money coming into the U.S. because of that. And I think San Diego is a great destination for a lot of those people.
For a lot of that money, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make
Absolutely.
sense. That's what we've been seeing, right?
That's
Larry?
why downtown,
Bring
because they're
money.
not going to, people don't want to own a single family home. They'll live in China. They want to own a condo.
Yeah, they don't have to take care
Well,
of
with
it.
the rental rates being as high as they are, I mean, your mortgage and your rent is usually around the same price right now. you know?
Yeah, very true.
Seeing a lot of
So-
people, if you have a down payment, a lot of people are able to buy these places and cash flow them right away. Put 20% down, investment property, and boom, cash flow because the rents are so high. How much risk is in this market, Larry? I know you should be straight here.
I'd say you wanted a percentage. I'll give you a percentage. I'm saying that this market today, 5% risk.
5% risk.
5 to 10% risk. I mean, you're risking it just like the stocks. I mean, you're looking for a low yield, so you're talking 5%, 7% risk. I would say on your money, it's not going to go anywhere. If you buy a house now, I think you could sell it, earn your money back, maybe make 2%, 3%, but it's not going to be. You're not going to lose money like you have in the past.
Let me flip it on you then. How much upside is there?
Depends who you know. I mean, this city is a big city, but a small city, and if you know people, it's the up is good. If you don't know too many people, if you don't know the right people, if you don't have the ability to talk and make those conversations, then I think the upside is very low.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I came from a smaller city in New Orleans where we just moved back home, and it's 3 million people, but 3 million people where Joe Schmo lives 45 minutes outside, and that's the county line, and he's on a 10-acre lot. You'll never hear about him. We're, pushing 5.5, 6 million people now in San Diego County. But if I were to drive from Del Cerro to Escondido, I'm going to run into somebody that I know somewhere along the line in that 45-minute drive. So it's kind of a different philosophy. We're a big city, small town feel. So I think it's who you know depends on the upside of it.
What do you think, Darren? Percentage-wise, you got a percent upside from here?
I mean, it's hard to say on the, I don't know what you mean by upside versus downside.
Risk versus reward. So, if I'm looking at buying a place, okay, let's say we have 5 to 10% risk on the downside. How much upside is there from here? Because according to, economics professors and whatnot, it's another couple years of a good market.
I think it's a very safe place to buy.
Yeah.
So I think that I don't think there's 10% downside.
No?
There's probably, if you're going to buy and hold for the next 20 years, I'd say there's probably almost zero downside.
Okay.
There's probably only, you should double your investment every 7 years, they say. I think that San Diego should be
on pace
for at least 3 to 5% annual increases for the next 20 years.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like we've seen in the past. When we hit these cyclical tops, people say, well, I don't want to buy at the top of the market. But if you did that in 1990, you quadrupled your investment or whatever it is, 10x, depending on what you bought.
Right.
So
People got greedy.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. So how much upside do you think there is, Sean?
There's always upside on the long haul. We've proven it. You buy it at the top of the market in 1990, you've made lots of money. So as long as you don't have to sell in any investment, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So as long as you don't have to sell your real estate, you'll be fine. If you lose your job, divorce, the number one thing for foreclosures, then you have to sell. That's when and you sell at the wrong time, you're going to lose your butt. So marry correctly.
We'll have to do a separate show about that because I don't think we have
talk a long time about it. I forget that one. Proven that track record is poor.
So you won't be hosting that show then?
I could host that. What not to do.
The do's and don'ts.
The do's and don'ts.
Mostly the don'ts.
Of real estate marriage, right?
Right. I have to sell again.
Killing me. John, how much upside is there in this market?
I believe buying in real estate at any point has its risks, but I believe it always is going to have its rewards. Whether that be you holding on to the property for X amount of years. We look back into the 90s, whatever it was. The interest rates were 13, 14, 15%. I don't remember. I was in high school at that point. So, but so you look at it. You look at that market then and say, "Wow, I wouldn't have bought a property." But then you look at the prices of the homes.
Right.
They were $100,000. You could buy a house for $100,000. So it's always a great time to buy a property. There's times that are better than others, and there's also pockets of San Diego that are better than others.
Yeah. Great point.
There's an area down by me that went up 20% over last year.
When you say down by me, you mean
Lake.
South County?
Should I tell everybody? They might take their investors. No, Imperial Beach. Imperial Beach is the area I'm talking about.
Well, I agree with you. Between Imperial Beach and Oceanside, last two beachfront properties in the California coast that you can still find property for under $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you going to find that?
Yeah.
They've always been a deal for
Yeah.
30 years.
Yeah.
It's always going to turn. IB and,
Imperial Beach
there's
is a
little
great
bit.
area because you have the military right there.
Yeah. Totally.
Everybody from the military is trying to get. They're actually getting pushed out because
Of the money.
Yeah.
And then you drive 5 miles up the road and you can say, I'm in Coronado.
Right.
Exactly.
Or 5 miles south or swim south.
Yeah.
Near Mexico.
There's some
deal
great
there.
investments there. That was
Deal
weird.
there. The problem with IB, one of the many, is I surf and you just don't want to go in that water.
Really?
Oh, it's just gross.
Maybe that's what happened to me
Tijuana
because I
River.
grew up surfing there.
There you go.
That explains everything, John. Oh, that's been great. Great stuff, guys. Really appreciate your time. John Fleming, thank you so much.
Thank you
Sean
for having
Germon,
me.
appreciate you. Darren, thanks for coming.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you. Larry, thank you so much for coming in today. Guys, that's it for the real estate debate. Check out the website for more. We'll continue to make you smarter than everyone else.